So now we're going to do the second round of our granny square. So we start again, we've joined up here from the last round, joined up with the slip stitch and then slip stitched across, if you remember, to get into the corner space. So we're in one of the corners, that's our starting point on every round. And we always start the round with 3 chain, which counts as our first treble. So in your head, just think that's 1 treble made. When you've done your 3 chain, that's your first treble. So yarn over, in, back, yarn over, through 2, yarn over, through 2, and that's our second treble of the corner. And we're going to do another treble. So we've got 3 trebles in the corner space. We're going to make 2 chain for the next corner, and then we're going to put 3 more trebles back into this same space. Okay, that's 1 treble, 2 treble and 3 treble. So every corner on every round is made up of 3 trebles, 2 chain and 3 trebles. Okay. So on the second round we're going to make 1 chain in between the corners, and now we're going into the next space along, which is our next corner. So we're going to do again 3 treble, to make the first part of the corner. We're going to do 2 chain and 3 more treble back into the same corner. 2 and the final one, 3. So there, now we've made 2 full corners, both made of 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 treble, 1 chain in between, and then back over to the next corner to do 3 trebles, 2 chain and 3 treble. Once you get going after round 2, it gets a little bit more repetitive and memorable. The first and second rounds are just a little bit different than the rest of the granny square, because you don't have any sides on these, you just have the corners. Okay, so 1 chain in between the corners, and then onto our final corner of 3 treble, 2 chain, 3 treble. I'm using a 3.5mm hook here with my granny squares. I honestly can't remember if I've used a 3mm or a 3.5mm, and that's what comes with not making notes about what you're doing. I tried a 3 and it looked a bit smaller, so I thought, well, maybe I did use 3.5. I thought I'd used a 3, but I really don't know. So I've gone back to a 3.5. So now we have finished our last corner, made our 1 chain, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that beginning 3 chain. So count from the bottom, 1 chain, 2 chain, 3 chain, which is here, underneath the 2 loops of the chain. Okay, and make a slip stitch. Then we're going to again slip stitch in the top of the next treble, slip stitch in the top of the next treble, and slip stitch into the corner space. And there we have our second round complete. Now you can see it's looking a bit more square, and we've got 4 corners of 3 treble, 2 chain and 3 treble, separated by this 1 chain, and that 1 chain has now created a little gap, and on the next round we're going to work into this gap as well as working the corners, and that's how the granny square grows. On each round you're creating an extra little gap along the sides, but the corners always remain the same. Okay, and that's our second round complete.